my presentation will be a logical continuation of what Ian has presented, and I want to focus on the coaching of life skills through sport and some of the theoretical, empirical, and practical efforts that we've done in recent years around this theme. So I'm going to guide you through firstly some theoretical work that we did. We developed a continuum of life skills development and transfer, and then how that led into the creation of a validated scale that's called the Coaching Life Skills and Sport Questionnaire. And ultimately, what I feel is most important is that led us to the development of a practical tool for coaches, which is called the Life Skills Self-Assessment Tool for Coaches. As Ian alluded to, I think it's important to start the conversation with understanding the difference between the implicit approach and the explicit approach. And this conversation started in the area of life skills development back in 2014 when Turnage and colleagues published a paper on this. And I'm just going to guide you quickly through what these two approaches encompass. But an implicit approach really is about understanding how the inherent competitive features and social dimensions of sport, if they're experienced in a positive manner by sport participants, those features have the potential to foster development and life skills development. And this is somewhat independent of coaches' action. And so what we have in the implicit approach is that coaches are not making deliberate, intentional efforts to teach life skills, but nonetheless, life skills development can occur because competitors, so the athletes, are in these competitive environments and they're interacting with coaches, with referees, with teammates, with opponents, and that can lead to life skills development. The other side is that we can have coaches who adopt an explicit approach. And this is conceptualized as coaches who make intentional efforts to teach sports skills as well as life skills in an integrated manner. And therefore, in this approach, coaches have explicit strategies in their coaching plan to teach life skills. And so, based on our reflections around this implicit and explicit approach in our research group, we sort of came to the conclusion that it may be simplistic to see the teaching of life skills in this dichotomous manner. And so we started to reflect, and in 2018, we came out with a paper where we're trying to nuance and make it a bit more complex as to what the process of teaching life skills through sport can be. And that's why we came up with a continuum that is now spread out across 6 levels. And so I'll explain each and every level, but I want to guide you through some of the fundamental principles of the continuum before doing so. So the first fundamental principle of the continuum is that life skills development and transfer outcomes are optimized as coaches move up the continuum. And so what we mean by life skill development, transfer, and outcomes are the developmental outcomes that athletes can gain from sport participation. And as coaches become more and more intentional in their approach to teaching life skills, we can expect more developmental outcomes for athletes. Another important consideration is that the different levels act as building blocks. And so I'm going to give a concrete example here, but out of the 6 levels, let's say we have a coach that wants to function at level 4. And so level 4 is practicing life skills. Well, before a coach is able to do so, that coach needs to set the other levels and practice the other levels. And that means the coach needs to structure the sport context and facilitate a positive climate, as well as discuss life skills with athletes before a coach can be able to practice life skills. And so each level acts as a building block of intentionality. And finally, the way we've structured the continuum is that this is based on evidence from the literature, is that we believe that the practice of life skills, so therefore getting athletes within sport and outside of sport to practice the life skills that they learn, we believe that that is a further conducive process to the development than coaches who simply rely on the discussion of life skills. And so I just want to make it clear that having coaches who make deliberate, efforts to discuss life skills with their athletes, that's very important. But we do feel that getting coaches to implement concrete strategies in their coaching to get their athletes to practice life skills, that's a more intentional approach. So the continuum looks like this, and if we take what I just presented a few minutes ago as the implicit approach, within the continuum, the implicit approach represents level 1 and level 2. And this is about coaches just setting the stage for being able to coach. And at level 1, we have coaches that are designing their program, they're setting the rules for their team, and they are modeling positive behavior. And so coaches that do that inherently create an initial level where life skills development can occur. At level 2, what we have is coaches that are now fostering positive relationships with their athletes. They're making sure that their athletes feel supported and that their needs matter. And so those first 2 levels, as you see on your right, we describe that as the implicit approach. Again, coaches are setting the stage for explicit life skill development to occur. You've got good relationships with your athletes, you've structured your sport program, and now levels 3 and 6 after that are where we get into the intentional, the explicit life skills teaching. So the levels 3 and level 4 are sort of joined, and this is where we have the practice and the discussion of life skills within the sport context. And so what we have here is the first level, level 3, first level of intentionality, is coaches that are able to select and define life skills that they want to teach through sport. They're able to talk about life skills when they're conducting their practices. And at the end of practice, they're able to debrief the life skills that were taught during that practice. A step higher in intentionality, still within sport, is coaches that have deliberate strategies to practice life skills. And so if you want to practice leadership, if you want to practice teamwork, if you want to practice perseverance, then coaches ahead of time will plan strategies to do so, and do so concurrently as they're teaching sports skills. And then the last 2 levels, which are the highest level of the continuum, are coaches who are able to discuss transfer and then practice transfer. And so what that means is that coaches that are able to recognize that the skills that are developed in sport do not automatically and inherently transfer to other life domains. And so Ian alluded to before that transfer can occur at home, at school, in the community, but what we know from the research so far is that that transfer is not automatic. And that transfer can be enhanced if coaches are able to define what transfer is, make athletes understand the importance of transfer, and making athletes aware of transfer possibilities. And then the final level is when coaches are able to forge links with community members, with teachers, with parents, to get athletes to practice their life skills beyond sport, and then providing opportunities to the practice of life skills beyond sport. So for example, if you're a coach and you take your athletes out to the community soup kitchen, and you get your athletes, instead of practicing basketball for 1 day, you go out and you help in the community. And then you reinforce those life skills messages to understand the importance of empathy, understand the importance of giving back to the people that are less fortunate. And you have, through sport, an opportunity to give back to the community, but also get your athletes to understand the importance of transferring the skills that they've developed in sport to benefit the wider community. And so we feel that's the highest level of intentionality in teaching life skills. And so our next step after we developed the continuum was, how do we go out in the field as researchers and actually measure the degree of intentionality of coaches? And so that's where we set out after that to develop the tool, it's called the Coaching Life Skills in Sport Questionnaire. And so this was recently published a few months ago, and we conducted 2 independent studies with over 1,400 coaches. And the Coaching Life Skills in Sport Questionnaire is very much theoretically anchored in the continuum that I just presented. And so what we wanted to do is, for each and every level of the continuum, we wanted to develop items that would allow us to measure the extent to which coaches are intentional in teaching life skills. So for example, if you look at the continuum level that I have at the top of the screen discussing life skills, our task was to develop items that would allow us to measure coach intentionality. So for discussing life skills here, we have 5 items. So for example, does the coach provide examples of how to use life skills in sport? And so we did this exercise for each and every level of the continuum. And the last level here, just for another example of practicing transfer, but we have also 5 items to try to capture this level of intentionality. And what was interesting is as we developed the Coaching Life Skills in Sport questionnaire, which is very much a tool for researchers, out of the 1,400 coaches that completed our questionnaire, many emailed us once they had completed the questionnaire and they said, hey, can I have access to those questions that you asked me in the questionnaire? They really got me reflecting about my coaching. And so when we got 1 email, 2 email, we're like, okay. The reason was after they completed the questionnaire, the questionnaire was closed. They had no longer access to the question. And so when we got 10, 15, 20 emails of the same thing, we said, there may be an opportunity here to refurbish or repackage the validated questionnaire for researchers and transform it into a knowledge product for coaches that they can use on the ground. And so that was our reflection. And then we spent about 6 to 12 months reflecting on that. And how do we do that? And so this is our latest paper that we published as a research group. And the paper was published just 2 months ago in the Journal of Sports Psychology in Action. And I've got the arrow and I've got the red box because the paper is open access. And so anyone on the call here or anyone else that you know, the paper is not behind a paywall. It's accessible to any coaches. And so as you see on the screen, we were four co-authors, and we collaborated with a group of researchers from Brazil. And the intent was that we wanted this tool to be something that coaches around the world are able to use. And so we used our language skills. We had different researchers on the group that spoke different languages, and we were able to develop the tool in 4 different languages. So we have it available in English and in French, but also in Portuguese and in Spanish. And so that allows us to reach a much wider audience, a much wider global audience than simply having the tool in English. And so I'll guide you through what the tool is all about so you can have a better idea. The first thing that we do in the tool is we define life skills. So just making sure that people understand what life skills are and why they're important to be taught in sport. And then we have a quick couple pages really about how to use the self-assessment tool and how to use the scale that we have to measure levels of intentionality. And what we did as well as part of the knowledge product that we developed a video, and this is a how-to video, and I'll show you the video in a few seconds, but it's a video to guide coaches as to how to use the tool. And we've made it available in 4 languages as well, with subtitles in French, English, Portuguese, and Spanish. So I'll try to run the video right now. Hopefully everything works, and it'll give you a good idea as to what the tool is all about.
Hey coach, did you know that you play a central role in helping your athletes develop important life skills through sport? Life skills like leadership, goal setting, teamwork, and emotional control can help us deal with the demands of everyday life. An important part of the life skills learning process is called transfer. For example, when an athlete learns how to lead a team discussion in sport and then decides to lead a group meeting at school, that's leadership transfer. If promoting the development of your athlete's life skills is high on your priority list, here is a tool that can help: the Life Skills Self-Assessment Tool for coaches. This tool is specifically designed to help you intentionally teach life skills to your athletes. This tool can help you progress through 6 levels of life skills teaching, with each level acting as a building block. The 6 levels are: structuring the sport context, facilitating a positive climate, discussing life skills, practicing life skills, discussing life skills transfer, and practicing life skills transfer. Assess how you display life skills teaching behaviors from never, sometimes, often, to always. There are 5 items per level that you score from 0 to 3 points. Use your total score in each level to determine which score range you fit in. Learn more about how you are doing well and how you can improve. At the end of the life skills self-assessment tool for coaches, there is an optional reflective exercise, allowing you to reflect on how you can improve your ability to intentionally teach life skills through sport. Remember, as a coach, you have the opportunity as well as the responsibility to positively impact those you coach, both in sport and beyond. Use your platform to make sport an educational, transformative experience.
So the tool was published just over 2 months ago on March 16th, and I just wanted to share, this is a print screen from yesterday, but we're very excited to have published a paper open access. And just in a few months, we've had nearly over 2,000 views for the paper. And so really excited for coaches around the world to be able to access the tool. And in a few minutes, if it's before a practice or after a practice, coaches can use the tool and get a sense as to where they sit on the continuum and to what extent do they perceive themselves to be teaching life skills. And so highly encourage anyone who would want to get a better sense of where they sit in terms of intentionally teaching life skills to download the Continuum or download the tool. And the video is available online as well as the 4 versions in the 4 languages. So this is my presentation. I just wanted to guide you through what was a very exciting process for us in terms of going from a theoretical and then developing an empirical tool. And ultimately, what I feel is most important is the ultimate culmination of that being a practical tool that is evidence-based that can be used by coaches on the ground.